my name is Mary Hillebrand and I'm a junior at SUNY Environmental Science and Forestry. Today I'm here at Berry Park in the city of Syracuse in New York. So when I say wildlife, when I say nature, we might not think of a park in the city as the best example of going to view the diverse nature, but I think I might be able to surprise you. So today we're going to talk about biodiversity. Now let's break that word down. Bio, living things, life. Think about biology as the study of living things. So bio is life. And then we think about diversity. Diversity means variety, lots of different things. So we take bio and diversity, and together we get biodiversity. This is the study of the variety of life in an ecosystem. So today, the ecosystem that we're going to look at is Berry Park. So if you look behind me, there are so many different trees present in Berry Park. We have pines, spruces, maples, crabapple trees, all sorts of different trees. Beneath our feet, we have so many different grasses, weeds, fungi, all living right beneath our feet. Behind me here along the shore of this pond, you'll see there's cattails and lots of other plants that like to be right near the edge of the water. Then we talk about in the water. We have ducks, there's geese, there's aquatic plants, there's algae, aquatic insects, all living below the surface of the water. Then above our heads, we might see another flock of geese or ducks flying by. There's crows, sparrows, doves, all kinds of birds. And then even smaller, below the grass, below our feet, there's microbes, worms, and insects living in the soil. There's so much diversity just in one small area, in one small park. Now, biodiversity is extremely important. Now, it's important because when there's so many species and living things coexisting in one ecosystem, that is a sign that the ecosystem is healthy. There is enough resources, water, space, habitat, nutrients, all these types of things that living things need to survive. When there's lots of diversity, that's a sign that there's plenty of those important key factors into living things, all in this one ecosystem. I like to think of biodiversity like a pack of crayons. If you just have a pack of crayons with one or two colors, you can't really create a detailed picture. It's very limited. Much like when an ecosystem only has one or two species, that's a sign that resources are just limited. But when you have a box of crayons with plenty of colors, you can create beautiful images with lots of detail, lots of different colors. Just like an ecosystem with tons of different species, it's healthy. There's plenty of resources and life in that space. So that's why biodiversity is so important, because it really shows how healthy an ecosystem is. Now, environmental scientists can actually measure biodiversity with a numerical value, so a number value. Now, you want that number to be higher, because the higher the biodiversity value, the more diverse, and of course that means a healthier ecosystem. So the two factors that environmental scientists use to calculate biodiversity are species richness and species evenness. Now, species richness is the number of different species existing in an ecosystem. For example, an ecosystem that has the species geese, ducks, dragonflies, and earthworms, that species richness value is 4. Now, species evenness is a little more complex. Species evenness is the number of individuals within each of those species in the ecosystem. So let's go back to our ecosystem with 4 as their value for species richness. Now let's say there's 50 geese, 15 deer, 100 dragonflies, and 150 earthworms. Now that is the species evenness of an ecosystem. So scientists take these two numbers, the species richness and the species evenness, and they put those two numbers together to figure out the biodiversity value. And like I said, a higher biodiversity value number is better. It means the ecosystem is more diverse, which means it's healthier. Now, when we're talking about biodiversity, we are only talking about the living things, the biotic factors. Again, that word bio meaning life, living. So the living factors of an ecosystem are called biotic. Now, on the opposite side, the non-living factors of an environment are called abiotic. So a great example of a non-living factor in the ecosystem of Berry Park is the water right behind me. Now, the water itself, while it's host to lots of living things, is not living. But in the water, there's algae, there's plants, there's fish, there's insects, deer and geese and ducks use it to take a drink or where they get their food. It's a great example of an abiotic factor working with biotic factors in an ecosystem. Another example found in Berry Park, and just about anywhere else, rocks. This is a great example of somewhere where you can find biodiversity in your own backyard. So if you pick up a rock, there's often lots of movement underneath. Spiders, centipedes, millipedes, roly-poly bugs, lots of different things, even sometimes earthworms. Because this abiotic factor, the rock, is providing safety from predators, it's providing a home for these biotic factors. Now, one of my favorite examples of an abiotic factor that's such an important piece of an ecosystem, the soil. Now, the soil itself is not living, but much like the water, it's host to so much life. Now, we don't get a chance to see it because it's underneath our feet, but there's all sorts of insects, maybe things that we think of as kind of creepy or crawly. They are so vitally important to the health of the ecosystem, and so many find a home in the soil. Earthworms, termites, centipedes, millipedes, all sorts of these bugs live deep down in the soil. The soil also provides a place where plants can root. So all these trees, all these plants behind me, their roots extend down into the soil where they get their nutrients and their water from. So soil is an abiotic factor that is absolutely crucial to the health of a diverse ecosystem. Now, what we've discussed today has just been the biodiversity of this one little park, in one city, in one state, in one place in the world. Think, if there's so much biodiversity just in this small area, think about how much diversity there is all over the entire world. Now, this diversity and this life in these ecosystems are present everywhere, even in your backyard. So next time you're in your own backyard or your front yard, maybe the field behind your school or a local park, see if you can find one or two abiotic factors and one or two biotic factors. Even take a closer look and see if you can really see how these factors are interacting with each other. Now, again, a great way to do that is to just pick up a rock and see what's living underneath it. Maybe you live by a stream of running water. If you can head into the stream, pick up a rock there, see what kind of aquatic insects are living in there. It will be absolutely mind-blowing how much life is just everywhere we go. And the next time you're outside, maybe see if you can count how many living things are in an ecosystem. Do you remember what you'll be counting out? That's right, that's the species richness. How many living things are present in one ecosystem? So remember, just because we're in the city, that doesn't mean that there's not an abundance of life in the ecosystems all around us. Nature is everywhere. And remember, the more biodiverse, the healthier our ecosystem will be.